Hello and welcome. My name is Peace Mitchell and I'm co-founder of Women Changing the World Press. Before we begin today, I would like to pay my respects to the traditional owners and the elders of the land that I live and work on, the people of Mamu country in North Queensland. And I would also like to pay my respects and acknowledge traditional owners and elders past and present right across Australia and the Torres Strait. Today, I'm so excited to be launching our new book, Women Living Fearlessly. This book is a collection of 25 women's stories, women from all around the world. And I'm so excited to have one of our fabulous co-authors joining me today, and that is Mercedes Soria. Please join me, Mercedes.
Hi, hello. How are you doing? It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have you here. So for people who haven't met you before, I would love you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you and the work that you do.
Yes, Mercedes Soria. I have spent about 20 years in software engineering. I'm an engineer at heart. I have worked in companies, the startup companies. I started my own, and have also worked in companies that have 200,000 employees. Every time doing a little bit more of software engineering. And currently I'm working on the AI field, so I'm very technical. But funny enough, one of the things that you noticed, or at least that I noticed, when in my career, was that in high school there weren't enough women doing technology. The same thing happened in college. The same thing happened at work, and it's just this story of our lives. And I got connected to some organizations around the world who are actually trying to solve this problem. And that has become kind of like my calling to help out other women get into this profession, because one of the main obstacles is that younger women in technology don't have many women who have arrived into higher places that they can look up to. And I try to be that person and help as many women as I can to get to high positions in the technology field.
Oh, that's amazing. And there is such a need for incredible role models like you for our up and coming women in tech, for sure. So it's wonderful that you are providing that for these women. So your chapter was called Courage Across Continents, Tales of Resilience. Can you tell us why you chose this title for your chapter?
Yes. So when the book started and I was trying to write it, I thought, what has helped me get to where I am today? And I saw this thread. There were many obstacles I had to overcome. I was born in South America. My first language is Spanish. So I was lucky, and I actually put a lot of work into being a good student from the early age. And I was lucky enough that I won a scholarship to come to the United States to study engineering. And one of the things that has been important for me was there's several lessons that my mother taught me. There were many obstacles that I had to overcome, and if it wasn't for the lessons that she taught me, I would have never been where I am today. So when I wrote the chapter, I wrote all those lessons, hoping that others could learn from those as well, and be able to get to a position where they like in their careers. So there was a thread between all of those obstacles I had to overcome, and I thought of it as resilience. Because every time someone told me, no, you cannot do this because you're a woman, and women in technology usually are not very good, it took resilience to actually do the work and show that, yes, women can get to these positions. I remember clearly many occasions in which I was the only woman in the room, and there were 40 or 50 guys who reported to me. So that was really the resilience. And the part about continents is I was chosen by the United States Department of State to be a speaker for them. So one of the things that I do when I'm not at work is I travel the world talking about technology, talking about women, inspiring women in countries like Morocco, in countries like Mexico, Canada. I've been to India, just got back from India, talking about how we can get to the places that we want to get as female in technology. And this calling has taken me around the world, and I combined those two things, and that was the title of my chapter.
I love that so much. It's just such a remarkable journey that you're on now, and you've achieved such success. But tell us about your childhood. You grew up in Ecuador.
Yes. So I grew up in Ecuador, and this was in the 80s. So I'm a child of the 80s. And one of the things that happens in third world countries is you don't have companies like Microsoft, you don't have companies like Facebook, the big companies that will employ technologists. So even though there wasn't really a big company I wanted to work for when I chose my career, I still chose the career I chose, knowing that it was going to be difficult to find a job and stay in Ecuador. My childhood was really the goal of a girl in South America in my country was at the time that you will finish high school and you will go to work as a teller, as a bank teller. And the prettier you are, the more connections you have, the better bank you work for. So that was all that I was supposed to be. And I had a mother who thought that was just not enough. So she always encouraged me to go for what I wanted. She asked me very early in my childhood, what do you want to be? And I used to read a lot of science fiction books. I still do. And one of the things that has always been something that interests me was what will happen in the future and how do we get there? And that's how I ended up working in technologies like artificial intelligence and robotics and things like that. So it was because of her, because she told me dream and dream big. You can be whatever you want. So that's the kind of mom that I had. And that's why I got to where I got.
I love that so much. And your mother played such a big role in your life. And you talk about some of the lessons that she taught you through your chapter. Your mother really valued education, and her beliefs in taking action on your goals really were a big influence in your life. Can you tell us more about some of those lessons that you've taken with you from the wisdom of your mum?
Yeah. So she always said she played a lot of interest in education. She was actually she was before she retired a principal at a school. So she's been a teacher her whole life. That was her career. And one of the things that she said was, as you can imagine, in Ecuador, there's not that many rich people, and I wasn't one of them. So she said, I will not leave you a big inheritance, but by golly, you will study in the best universities I can afford. So she put a lot of emphasis on that. It's been something that has been very important to not just my mom, but to the whole family. All my cousins have the same thinking, all my aunts and uncles, they're all educated, they're all first in their schools, they have degrees in architecture, doctor, and different types of careers, and they all have very successful careers. So she taught me that. And she also taught me that when I was coming to the United States, my English wasn't very good. So I could learn, I could read, and I could write, but I could not actually understand it when somebody spoke to me, and I could not talk back in English. So one of the things that she told me is I was bored in the plane. I was 20 years old, and I had never lived away from my mom. And I didn't even know what it was to pay for your own electricity, to pay for your own gas, or any of those things. And the thing that she told me when I was bored in the plane with my sister said, do whatever it takes to get to where you want to be, do whatever it takes to succeed, but don't do anything that you will be ashamed of. So my sister and I had to do a lot of things. For example, we used to work the overnight shift at our college dormitory. It started at 11 p.m. until 7 a.m. And we would have to guard the dormitory. So people would come in and out, and we could keep a record of all the women that lived there. And it was really hard because our first class was at 8 o'clock. So we only had an hour between our shift ending as desk assistants and our first class starting. And then we'd have class until 5 p.m. We did homework until 9 or 10, and back to work at 11 p.m. So that is our version of the whatever it takes to be successful. Failure was just never an option, is what she always told us. Failure is not an option, so you find a way.
Wow, that's amazing. You talk about in your chapter the transition from leaving Ecuador and coming to the US, and the challenges that you faced. You didn't have a lot of English. It was a very difficult time, but you had your sister with you as well. Can you tell us more about this time and some of those challenges you faced and how you got through it?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough that I was born with a twin sister. We were identical twins. Her name was Polly. We never lived apart until I got married, which was at 37 years old. So one of the things that happened to us was we landed in the United States. I remember it was a rainy night in Florida, and then our school was in Tennessee. And we went to Tennessee, and there was a show that we used to like, which was Star Trek, because they showed it in Ecuador as well. And we decided, okay, we're gonna watch some TV. We know the show, we know everything about the show, so it's something that's gonna be easy for us to understand. And we turned the TV on, and we had no idea what happened. We fell asleep because we couldn't understand the word. So the only way that we were able to study and get good grades was not because we knew what was happening in class. We were completely clueless. We had no idea what the professor was talking about, what our classmates were talking about. All we knew was we had to memorize from page 5 to page 30 of the book for the next day. So most of our time was spent memorizing books for every class we took, because we didn't understand the language so much that we never knew when there would be a test. And there's a lot of quizzes that you get in college. We never knew there was going to be a quiz the next day because we had no idea what the professor said. So that was tough. That was really tough. We didn't actually have friends or speak to anyone in our classes for the first 2 years. And it was not a great experience, but we had each other. My sister and I had each other. And if it wasn't because she was with me and I was with her, the two of us would have gone back to Ecuador, and our dream to have a career would have never become a reality. Fortunately, she passed away, but I wrote this book. One of the reasons I wrote this book was because I wanted her to be proud of me, and I wanted our story to be told, because I thought it was be important for people to know that, especially from South America and girls that are not in the rich world, that they can make it. So that's one of the main reasons why I told our story. And I didn't try to make it pretty. I didn't try to make it worse. I wrote exactly what happened to us and how we got to where we are today.
Yeah, so incredible, Mercedes. And you were so lucky to have your beautiful sister with you through that time, because, as you said, it was so hard to not have any friends or talk to any of your classmates for 2 years. That must have been so hard. And to not know like what the professor was saying and when things were happening must have been really scary.
The cafeteria was awful because they will ask you what you want to eat, and we just had to point because we had no idea how to order food. We just kept pointing at the food. So it was, it was tough. It was tough. The first time we started having friends was in our master's degree 2 years later. But then we finally decided we're going to start talking to people.
Oh, so incredible. Now, you talk about in your chapter that you found fulfillment in helping others to gain success, and you founded the Delaware Hispanic Network. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, so it was in my first year of work. So when I graduated, I had a master's degree in artificial intelligence from computer science. So it was pretty good degree. And I applied in that time to 100 different jobs that I thought I could get. And then I got 3 callbacks for actual in-person interviews. And out of those 3, I only got 1 job offer. So if it wasn't for that company, which is Gibson Musical Instruments, I would have never been where I am today. And when I started working there, they gave me what at the time was called a webmaster job, which basically is a glorified, you put some pictures and words on the website at that time. And I thought I was overqualified. So I would do my work really fast. And then I would talk to other people. I like to talk to people. And I met some girls, a few, that used to work in the sales department. There was one that worked in the service department. And they're like, I have to do all these numbers and I have to do this and that and the other and these spreadsheets. And I was like, why don't you automate that? I can show you how to automate that. And little by little, I started to mentor people around me, especially women. And they were able to not only do their jobs faster, better, but they were also able to get better careers. And that happened even the first year I started working. So it became this sense of fulfillment that it gave me, to help others to see that they're successful and that they're learning something that will help them in their career for the rest of their lives. And I have just kept that trend, and I try to help people around me. I find that helping others is the best way to have a happy life, at least in my opinion.
Oh, I love that. Helping others is the best way to have a happy life. I totally agree. Well, thank you so much, Mercedes, for being here with me today. And thank you so much for sharing your chapter in Women Living Fearlessly. I know that this chapter will be so inspiring for our readers as well, to hear about your journey and all of the things that you have had to overcome to get to where you are today.
Thank you so much to you and for you guys to do all this work to get all these stories, because all of them deserve to be told. So thank you so much for doing everything for us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Well, thank you to everybody who tuned in today as well. Make sure you grab your copy of Women Living Fearlessly from wcwpress.com, and we will see you again soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye, Mercedes.
Bye-bye.